Our selection will be Balm in Gilead. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my work's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Don't ever feel discouraged, for Yahshua is your friend. And if you lack for knowledge, he'll never refuse to lend. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. If you cannot preach like Peter, if you cannot pray like Paul, you can tell the love of Yahshua and say he died for all. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. To heal the sin-sick soul.
The Oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear, than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. I want to first offer up prayers, which I've done before I came out here, for our extended family that's in the Carolinas. We have several members that are within those areas, and we pray that Yahweh protects them and their property. This is a real crazy storm. It's moving at 2 miles an hour. So, normally when you talk about some storm, it's like what we always say, okay, it'll blow over or it'll pass by eventually. I mean, this thing is dropping all of this water, and then it's not moving. It's just like barely creeping along. So that means they're getting enormous amounts of rain, and that water is no joke. It is a very, very destructive force. I am a lover of the beach until this stuff started happening right here. This water is not anything to play with. So I pray that Yahweh does protect them in all of those things. But we're going to begin today's sermon in Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8. And today's sermon is entitled, The Manna of Heaven.
Verse 1. At that time Yahshua went on the Shabbat day through the corn, and his disciples were anhungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat.
Now, when we read these things, and we have mentioned these things on several occasions, but there's so much that actually happens within these first couple verses as far as how it relates to all of the things that were already set up. When you consider what was written about Yahshua, it says that he was going to magnify the law and make it honorable. And there are some things that he ended up doing that was truly according to as it was written in the law, but a lot of people kind of go past those things. So the first part is on the Sabbath day, he's going through the corn. His disciples are hungry, and they begin to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. Now, the first thing is, okay, they're doing some kind of service on the Sabbath day. So this automatically is a problem with other individuals, because clearly, if you were going to eat, then you should have, prepared beforehand when it came down to that. So it seems. Keep going.
But when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, Behold, your disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Shabbat day.
Right. And this is that thing that I have to tell people. They like to go in Corinthians and read that a man should not have his head covered. And the question is, are you a man, or are you one of the kingdom of Kohen? Are you a kingdom of priests? There's a difference between a man and a priest. So, and he's about to deal with this difference here. They said, your disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon the Sabbath day for a regular man. But these were not regular men. These were Kohen, these priests. Go ahead.
But he said unto them, Have you not read what David did when he was an hungered, and they that were with him? How he entered into the house of Elohim, and did eat the shewbread which was not lawful for him to eat, neither them which were with him, but only for the priests?
Right. So when that part is read, it kind of gets people off the point, but he's dealing with some prophetic things in this first portion that we're going to end up getting back to. But his real answer to that, so that one went completely over their head. But I mean, they knew the incident, but they didn't really get the correlation there. Go ahead.
Or have you not read in the law, how that on the Shabbat days the priests in the temple profane the Shabbat and are blameless?
The priests profane the Shabbat because they work, and then they gather up offerings, so they get paid to work. Priests do something completely opposite than what everybody else do on Shabbat. So all of the people who say they're teachers or they're this, you have to then ask them, why are you collecting tithes on the Sabbath? Because that's for the priests only. But everybody is hiding from this term priest. Well, then you need to get that money back. You need to dump all them offerings back and go send them back to them people. Because you ain't got no business collecting that. Because priests collect that. See, people want to jump in and out of this book as it fits their particular situation. And that ain't going to work. That's going to get you thrown in that lake of fire is what it's going to get you. So we have to understand what he's saying. The priests, so go back, they're picking corn. They're eating. Do you understand that within the temple, the priests would be baking hot bread to sit in the temple? The priest cooking on the Sabbath. The priest working on the Sabbath. The priest, that's for regular people. So when you deal with these folks who tell you a man shouldn't have his head covered, Israel wasn't prophesied. It was said that you were going to be a peculiar people, a holy nation, a royal priesthood. You're not like everybody else. And you have to understand the difference. That when you get to this part of the New Testament teachings that are going to the Gentiles, they don't have to do all of the things that Israel have to do. But if you don't understand the difference between those, then you're going to step yourself in a line that does not suit you and end up getting yourself cut off. Meanwhile, the Gentile ends up walking right into the kingdom because that's fine for him. Go ahead.
Verse 6. But I say unto you, that in this place is one greater than the temple. But if you had known what this means, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Adonai, even of the Shabbat day.
He is Adonai, even of the Shabbat. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 21, and let's read about the incident that Yahshua mentioned. 1 Samuel chapter 21, and we're going to read verses 1 through 6.
Verse 1. Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid
Okay,
at the...
where you at? I'm in the wrong one. Go ahead.
And said unto him, Why are you alone, and no man with you? Verse 2. And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king has commanded me a business, and has said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send you, and what I have commanded you, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place.
Stop. He just lied. Now, according to what's written in the word, what is the punishment of a lie?
Whatever you intended.
Whatever you intended to come from that lie. Okay. He was not trying to get any ill-gotten gain from this lie. Not okay in the lie, because a lie is a lie. But he was trying to save his life. Saul was trying to kill him. And the more people he told about that Saul was trying to kill him, the more problem he was going to have. So whereas some people would say, yeah, go ahead and tell everybody. No. The more people he tell, the more issues he's going to have with them knowing, well, why is the king trying to kill you? You're the king's right-hand man. That ain't going to never cause him more problems. So now he's trying to do this without at the same time sowing discord on the king. Because see, then that has people talking about the king one way or another. And see, sometimes some of us, we don't care nothing about sowing discord. We'll talk about another individual. He left all of that. Look, king sent me on some business. And he sent him on some business, all right. If you don't get away from here, you're going to die. That's the business he on. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Now therefore, what is under your hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under mine hand, but there is hallowed bread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days, since I came out, and the vessels of the young man are holy, and the bread is in a manner common.
Why was
Yea?
the bread now in a manner common? The bread is replaced every day. As it is time for the bread to be replaced, then it starts to be in a manner common. Go ahead.
Though it were sanctified this day in the vessel.
Keep on.
So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread there but the shewbread that was taken from before Yahweh to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away.
That is the answer. That it was taken from before Yahweh to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. So they are then dealing with this thing to make sure that all of this is presented before, but as this is replaced, he is then allowed to get this portion. This is what the Mashiach was referring to when they asked him about picking this corn. Now, before even dealing with that, I didn't really know the significance of why they were even in the cornfields, because I don't cook. But let's go to Leviticus 24. Leviticus 24, and let's read verses 5 through 9.
Verse 5. And you shall take fine flour and bake 12 cakes thereof. 2/10 deals shall be in one cake. And you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 on a row, upon the pure table before Yahweh. And you shall put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread for a memorial, even an offering made by fire unto Yah. Every Shabbat he shall set it in order before Yah continually, being taken from the children of Israel by an everlasting covenant. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons, and they shall eat it in the holy place, for it is most holy unto him of the offerings of Yahweh, made by fire by a perpetual statute.
All right, so the first thing we have to look at is you shall take a fine flour. And looking at that, I really didn't automatically see the significance. But let's go back to Leviticus chapter 2 and read what it says about the meat offering. I think the reason why some of us, don't get into any of those things because we haven't really understood that the offerings are going to return. So when people tell you the priesthood is done away with and all of these things, even when we read it, it says that now we offer up spiritual sacrifices. But when you read into and talk about that future kingdom, you see the offerings being there again. There are certain phases of that final kingdom. We have this 1,000 years of peace. Then we have a whole nother war that has to happen. Then you have the end. And I think sometimes we'll take bits and pieces of that and throw it all together. Because Lucifer has to do his time, and then he has to be released. Leviticus chapter 2, and let's read verses 1 through 16.
And when any will offer a meat offering unto Yah, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and put pure frankincense thereon.
Now understand, a meat offering means food offering, not flesh. So a lot of times when we hear meat, we thinking hamburger. That's not what this means. Meat means food. So this is, and when any will offer a food offering unto Yahweh, that is not flesh. So understand that these are not the same words that you are accustomed to using. Go ahead.
And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons the priests, and he shall take thereout his handful of the flour thereof, and of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yah. Now,
you, in considering that the Messiah was going through these cornfields, they were picking the corn and rubbing them with their hands. Understand this fine flour, that's corn flour. Now, see, I didn't cook, so that didn't mean nothing to me. I had to go ask some questions. I stopped reading and walked upstairs. Excuse me, can you make flour out of corn? It was like, yeah, that's corn flour. They said cornmeal is the coarse one, and corn flour is the fine flour. So I just shut my mouth and walked right back downstairs and got in my book. See, I had to get something else to put that together. I don't cook. So, fine flour, he's walking through the cornfields. This is corn. Understand, you're going to start seeing other references along the same line. Go ahead.
We call that nowadays cornbread.
Well, it make better cornbread with corn with the fine flour. That's what I heard anyway. Go ahead. That's what them said.
Verse 3. And the remnant of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yah, made by fire. And if you bring any oblation of a meat offering, baken in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. And if your oblation be a meat offering, baken in a pan, it shall be of fine flour unleavened, mingled with oil. You shall part it in pieces, and pour oil thereon. It is a meat offering.
You know what's funny when you talk about the cornbread? That's one of the first things they tell you about soul food. They put that as one of the soul food things. That's what the black folk eat. Right. Yeah. Yeah, we got it in us from a long time ago.
Yep.
Right. It's priesthood stuff. You wouldn't understand. Go ahead.
Leviticus chapter 2 and verse 7. And if your oblation be a meat offering, baken in the frying pan, it shall be made of fine flour with oil. And you shall bring the meat offering that is made of these things unto Yahweh. And when it is presented unto the priest, he shall bring it unto the altar. And the priest shall take from the meat offering a memorial thereof, and shall burn it upon the altar. It is an offering made by fire, of a sweet savor unto Yah. And that which is left of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire. No meat offering, which you shall bring unto Yahweh, shall be made with leaven. For you shall burn no leaven, nor any honey in any offering of Yahweh made by fire.
So when it comes down to what has to be offered unto Yahweh, the leaven cannot be present, even though in other parts, when you get in Leviticus 23 and it talks about the first fruits to make these 2 cakes for Israel, it shall be baking with leaven, for they are the representations of both houses of Israel, and Yahweh accept that, symbolizing that he was accepting Israel even in our sin. But when it comes down to these things, because the leaven is a representation of sin, because the leaven does what? Causes things to rise or causes things to be puffed up. And when you talk about rising or being puffed up, sometimes the higher our stature is, financially or otherwise, the harder it is to get us to follow instructions. You talk to a child, 9 times out of 10, if you catch the child at a certain age, they'll be able to accept all of those instructions that are given to them. Let people get a little older, say them same things to them, and you got nothing but problems. Leaven causes things to rise or be puffed up. Go ahead.
Verse 12. As for the oblation of the first fruits, you shall offer them unto Yahweh, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. And every oblation of your meat offering shall you season with salt. Neither shall you suffer the salt of the covenant of your Elohim to be lacking from your meat offering.
Tell me these ain't black people. Tell me these ain't black people. You go and eat other people's food, they ain't got no salt on it. You eat black folk food, they be like, where your salt at? So you ain't put no salt on here? Yahweh said, you ain't put no salt on it. So Yahweh said the same thing we say, you ain't put no salt on it. I mean, you ain't put a little salt on it. Come on, bro. Yahweh said, don't even bring it to me if you ain't got no salt on it. Folk get old and you find them, they say, look, you can't eat no salt. They be sneaking. Give me that salt. They try to con the grandkids. Look, don't tell your grandmama I said this. Go in there, get the salt, go around the backyard, come around back to the front, and throw the salt in my bedroom. Shut up, boy, I got something for you now. Just do what I'm telling you to do. Now bring the salt in here, boy. Granddaddy need the salt. I need that, boy. Right. Yahweh said, look here. Don't bring no offering, man. You ain't got no salt. That don't mean you use so much that your ankles start swelling up. Okay? But Yahweh didn't want it without salt, and most of us don't want it either. Go ahead. You got something, bro? Yeah. Hold on. Hey, man, turn that
Mike.
overhead mic on.
I was listening to this brother last night when I was coming back from Mississippi. He was reading this verse. He was talking about how we have. He was trying to describe how the book describes us. Basically what you're saying. But he was saying that's why we got the fried chicken. He was using meat as flesh.
No, that's not the same thing.
He's putting the flour and the oil on the meat, thinking that the meat was chicken.
Close but no cigar, brother. Close but no cigar. He was probably a Moray.
He was.
Yeah, that's what I said. Right. See, he wasn't no priest. Right. See, these are things that priests have to deal with. Right. It sounds good, though.
He meant well.
Yeah, I know he meant well. But, you know, my elder used to say, the road to the lake of fire is paved with good intentions. Matter of fact, that's the name of it, Good Intentions Boulevard. It leads right to that lake of fire. You go right up in there. How did I end up in this lake? Because you was on road good intentions. That's what happened. Hey, Dawid had good intentions when he was trying to bring the ark home. Right? Still, he ended up being a dead man. His good intentions wasn't good enough. He didn't follow the instructions. So you just can't go and just like, oh, I'm happy, I'm being good. Yeah. You ain't follow the right instructions, you're going to die. People didn't go through all of this stuff to leave these instructions for people not to follow them and then it still be okay. I tell you what, those folks down there at the courthouse got a huge book of laws. Break them and then go in their courtroom and explain to them how it's still okay that you broke them. you going to what they call the jail. They don't care nothing about that. You're going to jail. Go ahead, brother.
With all your offerings you shall offer salt. Verse 14. And if you offer a meat offering of your first fruits unto Yah, you shall offer for the meat offering of your first fruits green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. And you shall put oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it, part of the beaten corn thereof, and part of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. It is an offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
It is an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. So then now we understand this whole thing of the corn, and him walking through those cornfields on the Sabbath was a little bit more to it than just them walking through the cornfields. He is now dealing with the things that the priests deal with on the Shabbat. They're not understanding that these disciples are priests as well. Christ is our high priest. So then these brothers are the under priests. Let's go to Exodus chapter 16. You got something, brother? Go ahead.
Yeah, you were mentioning on one of the offerings when all males have to appear, where it states that if you don't make that appearance,
we gonna read it, brother. I know exactly what you're. We gonna read it, brother.
Right.
We gonna read it. Matter of fact, I was a little bit late. Last night I wrote a song called Kohain. Absalom, you gonna love it, brother. You gonna love it. I already hear you in the hook, but it's a part in. Hey, bro, I stayed up all night. I couldn't get to sleep. I was going over it again this morning. I was like, man, I'm gonna be late messing around with Kohain. Yeah, bro. Let's go Exodus chapter 16, and let's start at verse 14.
And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, It is manna, for they knew not what it was. And Moshe said unto them, This is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take you every man for them which are in his tents. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did meet it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moshe said, Let no man leave of it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moshe, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was angry with them.
See, that's that thing, man. It's hard to get Israel to follow instructions. He said, look, don't leave any of it. But Israel, when Yahweh said, this is a stiff-necked and disobedient and gainsaying people, he ain't talking about nobody but us. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said unto them, This is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow it is the rest of the holy Shabbat unto Yahweh. Bake that which you will bake today, and seed that you will seed, and that which remains over lay up, for you to be kept until the morning.
Right. So if you take, that concept and apply it to Yahshua and them being in the cornfields on the Sabbath day, they should have cooked it or did, whatever they were going to do before the Shabbat, unless they were priests. Because the priests work on the Sabbath. They profane the Sabbath and are held blameless. So none of that applies to priests. If I came up here and decided to rest, why y'all be here? What y'all here for if I'm resting? Go ahead.
Verse 24. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moshe bade, and it did not stink, neither was there any worm found therein. And Moshe said, Eat that today, for today is a Shabbat unto Yahweh. Today you shall not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, which is the Shabbat, in there shall be none. And it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day for to gather, and they found none.
This is Israel for you. They already got a double amount the day before, but we still trying to see if we can find some on the Sabbath. We want extra manna. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, How long refuse you to keep my commandments and my laws?
This is also the things you have to understand about being the head of a house. Brother, something might happen in your house, and then Yahweh come to you and say, Eliel, how long refuse you to keep my laws? And say, you know what you talking about? I'm sitting right here. You might want to find out where there yet. Tell you what you did? No, he ain't gonna say, huh? He ain't gonna come to you. You the head of the house. He didn't go to Israel. He went to Moshe. How long you refuse to keep my commandment? Hey, man, I wasn't out there looking for nothing. That was them. Yeah, but ain't you the leader of them? Well, you're saying, there it is, well, everything your fault. When you the leader, everything your fault. Ain't no excuses, ain't no what they did, and then what had happened was, ain't none of that. Ain't you in charge of that? What is your fault? Go ahead.
Verse 29. See, for that Yahweh has given you the Shabbat. Therefore he gives you on the 6th day the bread for 2 days. Abide you every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day.
And you have to liken this right unto the very thing. This is the same part or the same time that the fringes came out. When they did this. And he also told them, don't go out of your place. Now, how you going to have a holy convocation and still stay in your place at the same time? So obviously this was not his intention. But so you don't do nothing else stupid. Just stay in your house. At least if you do something stupid, don't nobody know it but you and the rest of your family. They be like, Dad is stupid. Yes, he is. But don't nobody know but us. We are one stupid family together. You're right. Go ahead, man.
So the people rested on the 7th day, and the house of Israel called the name thereof Manna, and it was like coriander seed white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey.
Now, I found that interesting, that it was like wafers made with honey, but the things that were offered up unto Yahweh could not be burnt with honey. Go ahead.
And Moshe said, This is the thing which Yahweh commands. Fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moshe said unto Aaron, Take a pot, and put an omer full of manna therein, and lay it up before Yahweh, to be kept for your generations. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony, to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years.
40 years.
Until they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna, until they came onto the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah.
That's a whole lot of cornbread. You gonna eat your cornbread? That's a whole lot of cornbread right there, boy. Let's go to Psalm 78. Woo-wee. That's why Jake strong by the corn. It's gonna be consequences and repercussions. You get this cornbread. Ooh-wee. That's a long time. Psalm 78, and we're going to read verses 14 through 25.
Verse 14. In the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness, and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock, and caused waters to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted Elohim in their heart by asking meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against Elohim. They said, Can Elohim furnish a table in the wilderness?
Now this right here is what helps that confusion too by the word that they put there for food. That they asked for meat, they asked for flesh, and because they put that word there, meat, which is the same word that you find in the law, that ends up causing a problem. But later on, they're going to end up, depending on if it's this one or not, but later on they say the word flesh. So that gives you the wrong understanding if you don't look up what word is used there. Because they may use the same English word, but then you go back and find out, wait a minute, that wasn't the same word that was there originally. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Behold, he smote the rock, that the waters gushed out, and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people?
You see that? See, that helps, you know, the misunderstanding when you then attribute flesh and meat as the same thing. See, there's certain things, you know, even when they translated some of those things, you know, if you remember back, you know, we have the Septuagint, which is what was translated by our people. Later on, you then had the Ish, who ended up coming up with their Masoretic translation. And then, of course, they flooded the market with the Masoretic text. So you have a lot of these things, almost everything is based off the Masoretic. You have to then get your Septuagint and flip back in it and go back to the same place and see what it say there. The Septuagint, our people translated that, and that's Greek. We did that. When you talk about the Masoretic, because people say, oh, that's in Hebrew, those were Ish that did that. And our people don't take that into consideration. So now we use a version, and you have most of these people who are talking about Hebrew. They're doing or dealing with this thing that was done by the very people who trying to pretend like they you. Now, why would you trust their translation? They obviously, first of all, they don't like Christ. So they put as many pitfalls in the Masoretic part that is going to go against Christ as possible. They don't need a savior. They ain't looking for a savior. The only people that were looking for a savior is Israel. People who own banking systems and own nothing, they're not looking for no savior. That's why they asked the Messiah, have you come at this time to restore the kingdom unto Israel? You think the people in charge was asking that? No, just the people who were being ruled over. Those are the only ones that asked that question. Go ahead.
Verse 21. Therefore Yahweh heard this and was angry. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in Elohim and trusted not in his salvation, though he had commanded the clouds from above and opened the doors of heaven, and had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven.
What did he call manna?
The corn of heaven.
The corn of heaven. So now we start looking at some of those things. Within some of those things that we just kind of read and go through, there's a whole lot of things contained in those. This is why you can never read this book and say, well, you know, I'm done. I read it all the way to the beginning to the end. All right, now start over. Because each time something else is going to pop up that you did not have understanding of before. Go ahead and finish that up.
Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full.
Man did eat angels' food. He sent them meat to the full. And because in English, a lot of times they have the same word or they use the same thing for food, you're going to end up running into those things. In one place, they differentiated and put flesh, but then they'll go back and forth and use that word meat for just food being in general. So they then use it to encompass everything. And that's not what that was talking about in the beginning. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to read verses 9 through 14. that this is what Brother Kish was talking about when he was trying to bust up my class. You gotta watch them Jamaicans, brother. You gotta watch them, boy. You gotta watch them, boy. They just bust right up in your class. But. Look, brethren. What about this? Read verse 3.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 9. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
This is the honor that you show unto Yahweh by giving him the first of your increase. What we end up doing is giving Yahweh the last of what we have, the stuff that we have left over. But you know, when we start going through all that hell, we want to be the first ones that he come and say. Now it throw us off when we the last one to get said, Yahweh, why you ain't came got me yet? Wait a minute, didn't you give me your last? You gave me your last a bit of time, your last of your first fruit. Then when your last fruit, then when your first. But then we the first ones that expect to be saved. What's taking Yahweh so long? I prayed 15 minutes ago. Right. Boy, Israel something else, Jack. Boy, we something else. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh, to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. And you shall offer that day when you wave the sheaf an he-lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yah. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yah for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin. And you shall eat neither bread,
now listen,
nor parched corn.
If you have not made this offering, you shall eat neither bread, go ahead,
nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the self same day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim.
So if you have not brought an offering unto your Elohim, all of these things of the corn, hey man, cornbread is looking totally different to me after this class. You understand what I'm saying to you? Go ahead.
Like you stated once, when you look at products and see how much corn is in everything.
Right. You can't eat jack. If you can't eat the stuff that got corn in it, you ain't eating. But it shows you how important Yahweh holds the appearances and the respect that he desires from the males in making their appearance and giving their offering when they make their appearance. I mean, you have cut off, and then you have those people, of course, say, well, I'm vegetarian. Well, you ain't gonna eat no vegetables much here either. You're gonna have some serious issues. Go ahead.
It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings.
All right, let's go to Joshua chapter 5. Joshua chapter 5, and we're going to read verses 1 through 12.
Verse 1. And it came to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that Yahweh had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted, neither was there spirit in them anymore, because of the children of Israel.
Right. So then the word of Yahweh's works has spread about. And that has already, caused fear in the people to the point where they're not even wanting to fight. But imagine if you are looking with your fleshly eyes, man, it's too many of them people. We gonna die. How we gonna do this? I don't think we ought to go. I think we gonna win. Them people hard gone. Because they done already heard about the stuff that happened before. They have no strength in them. But you looking at, look how big they are. All of them look like Benaiah, the jolly black giant. So now you scared. But they have no more spirit left in them. But you too busy looking with your flesh eyes. And you're not looking with your spirit eyes. So you done. There ain't but so much Yahweh can even do with you. Because you ain't looking with the right set of eyes. Go ahead.
Verse 2. At that time Yahweh said unto Yahshua, make you sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. And Yahshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskin. And this is the cause why Yahshua did circumcise. All the people that came out of Egypt, that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised.
This is a long pause for there not to have been circumcision. Understand, before Moshe is going in, just see how Yahweh does things. He turns around and he tells Moshe all of these things. You're going to do all this great stuff, you know, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and here go this staff, you know what I'm saying? You can divide the water. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I'm about to kill you. Huh? Yeah. These kids ain't got circumcised. I'm about to kill you. Now, you had this enormous amount of pause that all of these kids, now you got grown people in here, they ain't been circumcised. But he was about to kill Moshe for not circumcising his kids. Oh, but Moshe had a holy job to do. Right, read, man.
Verse 6. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of Yah, unto whom Yah sware that he would not show them the land, which Yahweh sware unto their fathers that he would give us, a land that flows with milk and honey. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Yahshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. And Yahweh said unto Yahshua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you.
Stop. He rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off of them when he circumcised the rest of them. So he made sure they weren't circumcised because he wasn't ready to roll away the reproach. So he just let them walk around with the reproach for all that time. Now, when it's time for Yahshua to embark upon this holy path, okay, now make sure you get all of them people with you circumcised. Because now you got a holy job to do. But while there was no holy job, he just sat there and let them all sit there uncircumcised. Read.
Wherefore the name of the place is called Gilgal unto this day. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, for they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year.
All right, so then the manna ceased. Let's go to John chapter 6.
Uh, 11:22.
And we're going to start at verse 22.
Verse 22. The day following, when the people which stood on the other side of the sea saw that there was none other boat there, save the one wherein his disciples were entered, and that Yahshua went not with his disciples into the boat, but that the disciples were gone away alone, howbeit there came other boats from Tiberias near unto the place where they did eat bread, after that the Adonai had given thanks. When the people therefore saw that Yahshua was not there, neither his disciples, they also took shipping, and came to Capernaum, seeking for Yahshua. And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Rabbi, whence camest you thither? Yahshua answered them and said,
Hold on. It says, call no man rabbi, for only your Father in heaven is your master. Now, these are things that they call him. But you see, he ain't stopping. See, people call you all kinds of things. And you'll see that there's several titles that they even gave to the Mashiach. Apostle, high priest, all of these things. But go ahead.
Yahshua answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, you seek me not because you saw the miracles, but because you did eat of the loaves and were filled.
Ain't that like Jake? Come with some cornbread and watch Jake show up. Pay attention. If y'all pay attention, you'll see people around here. You don't see them until we give them food. You don't see them people from 1 month to the other. Sooner we get some cornbread, here they come. Shalom! We ain't seeing you in a month of Sundays. Pull out the cornbread, here come Jake. That's the difference between Jacob and Jake. Jacob show up on the Sabbath day. Jake show up when you got cornbread. Right. See? You got brothers and sisters, and then you have cousins. See? You got to understand when you see one of them cousins. Oh, that's a cousin. Don't get it twisted. Now, there's some people that have strenuous working schedules. Then there's other people that's just Jake. Okay? And they let you know they Jake. They show up when it's time to eat, and they gone before it's time to clean up. Cousin. Hey, cousin. That's what you say to them. Hey, cousin, I ain't seen you in a long time. See, cousin not really family. And what I mean by that, cousins can marry. See, that's how they ended up orchestrating marriages within the setup of the children of Israel. Because that would be kids, of course, that they would see growing up. So the parents would arrange those marriages. People say, oh my God, I couldn't be with an arranged marriage. Well, we picking our own marriage out and how that's working out for us. The divorce rate is absolutely staggering. When you talk about when they went to find a wife for Esaac, what did it say? Go to your mama folk. What was that? It's cousin. Go and read the laws of who can marry. Cousins can marry. Brothers and sisters can't. So you look at that. Cousin ain't family. Not like that. I mean, they kind of family, but not like that. So you ain't got to say it out loud when you see a cousin. But just know when you in front of a cousin. Cousin. You know what I'm saying? That's about read, man. Read. Go on, read.
Verse 27. Labor not for the meat which perisheth, but for that meat which endures unto everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you. For him has Elohim the Father sealed.
And look, Yahshua had the same problem. He said, y'all didn't come here for the spiritual meat. Y'all came here because y'all ate naturally. Yahshua said, y'all ain't coming for the right reason. So the Mashiach had that problem. What make us special? We're going to have some cornbread cousins too. That's what you got, them cornbread cousins. Go ahead.
Then said they unto him, What shall we do that we might work the works of Elohim? Yahshua answered and said unto them, This is the work of Elohim, that you believe on him whom he hath sent. They said therefore unto him, What sign showeth you then, that we may see and believe you? What does you work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert, as it is written, He gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Yahshua said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, Moshe gave you not that bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of Elohim is he which comes down from heaven, and he gives life unto the world. Then said they unto him, Adonai, evermore give us this bread. And Yahshua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that comes to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you, that you also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and him that comes to me I will in no wise cast out. For I came down from heaven, not to do mine own will, but the will of him that sent me.
Now, you know, this is absolutely confusing to those that said, well, wait a minute, man. He lived right down the street. I know him. And, of course, they're dealing with the physical body. They're not understanding what happened at baptism, that spirit descended out of heaven and rested upon that body. They're not looking at that because they can't perceive that. The flesh can deal with the things of the flesh. Only the ones that Yahweh allowed to see were able to comprehend that. The others are trying to figure out, hey man, didn't he go to Jerusalem high? I don't see how he came out of heaven. Unless they changed Jerusalem high to heaven. That what the man did. I don't get this here. We got a problem. See?
He was in your woodshop class.
Yeah. And wasn't he in gym with us? No, man. I can't, oh, this ain't gonna work. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And this is the Father's will which has sent me, that of all which he has given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day.
Right. I should raise it up again at the last day. This doctrine, the true doctrine, goes against that stuff that we hear on Sunday morning. Because they claim everybody is already in heaven. They ain't even wait till after the funeral. At the funeral, the person already in heaven looking down at his own funeral. And man, ain't even no pause period in that. That heaven doctrine, you go there immediately. I'm talking zip tang, Jack. The funeral not even over. And they in heaven, they already talking about, he in heaven right now looking down at us. And I know he's smiling at us. Yahshua said he's going to wake up everybody at the same time. At the last trump. When the last trumpet blow, they're going to be awakened and come out of their graves. Sunday morning said, look, we don't care nothing about what Yahshua. Now they say, we love the Lord. We love the Lord. The Lord said everybody ain't coming up to the last day. We don't want to hear what the Lord got to say about that. I thought you just told me didn't you just say you love him? Well, I don't love that. Right. Read, man.
Verse 40. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which sees the Son and believes on him may have everlasting life, and I'll raise him up at the last day.
Here we go again. The Mashiach is saying the order, the same thing that Yahweh has said, the same thing that is all the way in the end of this book, but Sunday morning doctrine say something else. And because they have millions of liars telling the same lie, this is what make people feel good at night. This is what make people pay $30,000 for a funeral. See, you got to tell one of them good lies to make somebody pay $30,000. Now, when you understand that they just going to sleep, now you like, well, yeah, let's put some oil and spices, roll them up in some cloth, and put them right there in the backyard, and let's get on about this business. But when you think they going to heaven, oh, yeah, you got to send them off right. Oh, yeah, get that Cadillac casket. Yeah, the one with the detachable face radio. So they going to listen to the radio and now? Put all their jewels on them, they blinging. You know, just so, because they don't want to get to heaven without their jewels. You won't be blinged up. At least you run into Moses and you ain't got your Jesus piece on. You know what I'm talking about? Right. Go ahead, bro.
The Yehudis then murmured at him, because he said, I am the bread which came down from heaven. And they said, is this not Yahshua the son of Yosef, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says, I came down from heaven?
Right. And he knows that these people are having an issue understanding this, the spiritual part of it. But you know how this is the real deep part of it. Knowing that they had a problem, he still didn't explain it. There's some people he want to let their flesh toy with him so he can see whether or not they're going to truly serve him or not. See, people who are easily offended, those are the people who ain't going to be able to work with Yahshua alone. So you like, if you're going to go ahead and get offended, let's go ahead and get offended before 3 o'clock so you can go ahead and get on up out of here. So does this offend you? Good. So get on with the good foot. So we can get somebody else sitting in that seat right there.
Verse 43. Yahshua therefore answered and said unto them, Murmur not among yourselves. No man can come to me, except the Father which has sent me draw him, and I'll raise him up at the last day.
Right. See, you don't understand it because he didn't want you to understand it. So all the people who's supposed to understand it, they gonna understand it and be able to comprehend it. All those that's got some problem in their heart, they already packing their bags. Go ahead.
It is written in the prophets, and all they shall be taught of Elohim. Every man therefore that has heard and has learned of the Father comes on to me. Not that any man has seen the Father, save he which is of Elohim. He hath seen the Father. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believes on me has everlasting life. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which comes down from heaven, that a man may eat thereof and not die.
He didn't say your fathers ate manna and they in heaven. But we think Uncle Elroy in heaven, though. And he ain't do nothing but drink slick malt liquor bull and chase women. But he in heaven, though. Right. Go ahead.
I am the living bread which came down from heaven. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world.
Now this thing just getting worse and worse now. See, now he talking about, you know what I'm saying, eat his flesh. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Now you getting personal. Now you getting, now this thing here is getting off, it's getting off the chain now. Keep going.
The Yehudis therefore strove among themselves, saying, How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then Yahshua said unto them, Verily, verily.
He gonna say it again. I'm sorry, I must didn't finish insulting you, did I? Did I finish making you angry? Let me continue. Go ahead, bro.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood.
Now he gonna throw a little Dracula in there. Go ahead and drink the blood. Go ahead.
You have no life in you. Whoso eats my flesh.
Then he goes again. He will not. People always be like, oh, Sock speak rough. Oh, he done said certain. Let me tell you how far he going in to tick them off. And everybody talking about, God is love. He going on multiple levels to tick them off. So if you easily offended, they want to believe they will follow Christ. He is hardcore right now. Do you understand how these people are about law and how they are during this time about clean and unclean? It is serious. One person touch another person who unclean, and now that person unclean. Now they all separate. All of this is going on. And he goes in multiple levels talking about eating his flesh and drinking his blood. And he keep going. And he already ticked him off the first time. He on like his third time right now. Okay? Go ahead.
Whoso eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life, and I'll raise him up at the last day.
Now, he also ticking him off too that he gonna raise him up. Okay, so understand he in multiple levels of ticking them off. Go ahead.
For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eats my flesh and drinks my blood dwells in me.
He ain't gonna stop. He's not gonna stop. I mean, he just keep going. I want to make sure that you are thoroughly ticked off. Go ahead.
And I in him. Verse 57. As the living Father has sent me, and I live by the Father, so he that eats me.
Here you go again. Okay, all right. Is he trying to piss him off or what? Come on, man. How many times he say it? He know the part that's bothering them. And he continues to say the part that bothers them over and over and over and over and over again. So all you people that's sensitive, go ahead and leave now. If you extra sensitive. See? Because he trying to tick him off. Go ahead.
Even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven.
Another one, tick him off right there again. Go ahead.
Not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead. He that eats of this bread shall live forever. These things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, This is an hard saying. Who can hear it?
Uh-huh.
When Yahshua knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, Does this offend you?
Like he don't know. I'm sorry. Does this offend you? It did? Good. That's what I was trying to do. Keep going.
What and if you shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? It is the Spirit that quickens, the flesh profits nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life.
Uh-huh.
But there are some of you that believe not.
Right. See, there are some of you that believe not. So I'm going to poke, and I'm going to turn and poke, and I'm going to keep on poking until I offend those that don't believe anyway. Go ahead.
For Yahshua knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who should betray him.
So he already know who everybody is. The Spirit has already revealed to him. These people right here don't believe, but you know you keep showing up with that cornbread. And Jake gonna keep showing up. And Jake know you got cornbread. Jake will cross the whole river. And I heard they got some of that hot bread over here. Right, right. That's where you get them cornbread cousins. Go ahead.
And he said, Therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except that were given of him of my Father. From that time many of his disciples went back, and walked no more with him. Then said Yahshua unto the 12, Will you also go away?
Right. Now, the other one's gone. Then he taunts the ones that are left. Y'all leaving too? Say, y'all leaving too? He taunts them. When people don't understand how hardcore Yahshua, you better stop letting these Sunday morning people paint Yahshua as some kind of little soft punk that go around. How art thou? I loveth thee. Look at mine, thine children. I love thee. Oh, yes, God loveth thee. So you got Yahshua painted as some kind of punk. Because you looking at them folk. Some old punk with a perm. That ain't Yahshua. This hardcore stuff he doing. Running people, turning over tables. Turning over money tables. You letting them people paint Yahshua as some other kind of thing. That ain't what he is. It says the zeal of his father's house had eaten him up. So he about righteousness, and he don't care who he got to tick off to get righteousness done. If you offended, get offended, stay offended. He don't care. Go ahead.
Then Simeon Peter answered him, Adonai, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life.
Correct answer. Go ahead.
And we believe and are sure that you are the anointed one, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahshua answered them,
Now he goes on another level. Go ahead.
Have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil?
Oh, man. So you done ran off 70 people. Now we think, all right, we good now. All right, we got the 12. Now you gonna tell us one of us is a devil? Man, if you don't understand how hardcore the Mashiach is, so when you see all these little soft teachers, you think that they're representative of Christ. That's because you don't know how hardcore Christ is. If you understood how hardcore he is, you'll understand that he ain't choosing these little punk, pink sock wearing teachers. He ain't picking them. They got a little pink sock with a little ball on the end. You know what I'm saying? The little footy. Go ahead, brother.
Well, it goes to show you, if he was looking for multitude, he could have kept the multitude.
He could have kept the multitude right there. He didn't have to take the multitude off. See? But he wasn't no pink sock preacher. See?
Nowadays, preachers want to keep the multitude, say they saying niceties and ticked off with us.
There you go.
Now people starting to question them.
Right. And some people start asking what them Hebrews said. Stop listening to them Hebrews. Stop listening to them. Right. See? Because they done told these people nothing but niceties. And then they start hearing other things. And they want to know, well, tell me about this, man. Just answer. And they don't have an answer. That's what the problem is. They don't have an answer. Because if you read long enough, you're gonna find that answer that they had was a lie. Did you finish that, bro?
One more verse. But you know what's interesting though is that now what's truth and what's written in the book is now being described as what? Junk food?
Right. Right.
These junk food babies?
Yeah, but you know what? When you can say on one end, you know, I'm from, what did the dude say? He from?
Ebos.
He said, I'm from the Ebos tribe, and my folks are Jews. This is what T.D. Fake said. So he says, I'm from the Ebo, I'm a Jew. What was it, 4 weeks later? He said, 4 months later, he said, I'm a Gentile. We all Gentiles. And you just said you was from the Ebo, and the Ebo are Jews. Then you turn around and said you was a Gentile, then call a white man up there and said, we both Gentiles together. See, you can do that, speak with forked tongue. And you know what probably happened? He said he was a Jew, and the powers that be came out and told him, hey, wait, come here, let me talk to you. Wait a minute. Now, we gave you your charter and your ability to make all this money. You understand? You need to go back and fix that, telling these black folk that they Jews. Then he got up there, oh, we Gentiles. Oh, yeah, we all Gentiles. I'm a black Gentile, here white Gentile. We Gentiles. Right. See? That what happen when you get a call. You can tell when somebody get a call from the man. You can tell when somebody get a call from the man. Because they will be talking big and bold Monday. And come Wednesday, here come that pink sock with the little pink ball at the end. Right. The man done came by there. All of a sudden, the whole conversation changed. Right. Somebody got a phone call. And when them folk done allowed you to make that kind of money, let me tell you something. One stroke of the pen and they can bring your whole organization down. Because if you making multi-millions and you tax exempt, if they just take away, you know what, because you said that thing we didn't like, we're going to take your tax exempt status away for 2018. Now you owe us $19 million. 1 year. Boom! Organization gone. Just that quick. So when they make that phone call, our folk, Dan, they put on their tap shoes. Yeah. What else you need, boss? I bust this shift rope shoes, you get done, boss. And you think because they rich, that means something. No. The more money you got, the more money you need. When they start going through all them problems, what Eddie Wrong was, they needed $30-something thousand, something crazy to keep that place afloat. So he had to tell that lie to the end. He's shriveling up. Look, I'm on a whole vegetable diet. I'm fine. And he just passed out. He told that lie all the way down to the end. Why? Why? Because they needed that big amount. Because they needed that big amount of money to keep paying all of those bills. See, that's the problem. The bigger your building is, the bigger that is, the more money you need on a consistent basis to pay that amount. So you stuck with that. And you got to get that in or you now in trouble. So if they just change one status, you are in some trouble. That's how they are controlling our people who go out and get that government paper that says they're 501c3. If you're a church, you 501c3 anyway without signing any papers. See? But they want that extra thing so they can also get them government grants. Half of them buildings that they get, man, them government grants. So they got all the money for the building fund and didn't use not one dime of the building fund to build a building. Government grant built the building. Right. That's that part they don't want you to know. You finished that, brother?
Verse 71. He spake of Yehudas Iscariot, the son of Simeon, for he it was that should betray him, being one of the 12.
All right, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. When they first showed a picture of that dude, I didn't even know it was Eddie Long. I thought they were lying. He was like, that Eddie Long. I was like, are you serious? He done got so low. They had no take pictures with little workout shirts on. No, I'm fine. Don't believe everything you hear. Man, stop. But when you need that money, that's why, you know, people say, oh man, you can get a bigger building, you can do all these things. Yeah, and what's going to happen? When people start getting ticked off because I done said too much of the truth, then what's going to happen? Right. Now we're going to stay where we at until we bust in the seams. I'm talking about when I got Jake hanging out, I wonder, Sock, I couldn't hear you. All right, I guess we got to get another building. We going to put a speaker in the parking lot. You understand what I'm saying to you? And playing E-game. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 17.
Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that you come together not for the better, but for the worse. For first of all, when you come together in the church, I hear that there be divisions among you, and I partly believe it. For there must be also heresies among you, that they which are approved may be made manifest among you.
There must be heresies among you, so Yahweh can show you who's family and who cornbread cousins. He allowed those things. See, family, even when there's an issue, family might slip up, family might fight one another. But family get back in the line of being family. Cornbread cousins gonna go on about their business. Go ahead.
When you come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat the Adonai's supper. For in eating, everyone takes before other his own supper, and one is hungry, and another is drunken. What? Have you not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise you the church of Elohim?
Right. So instead of understanding the spiritual aspect of that, they still coming for the natural bread. So even after Yahshua, you still got cornbread cousins. Go ahead.
And shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not.
So people say, well, I showed up at New Moon. I ain't praising you in that. You showed up to eat. Go ahead.
For I have received of the Adonai that which also I delivered unto you, that the Adonai Yahshua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me.
Right. Now, you know the other 70 who got ticked off? You know later on they were pissed off when they read this, right? You mean we really didn't have to eat his body? Man, we left for nothing. Right. No, he let you believe what you wanted to believe so that your heart can drive you away. But then they got to go back later on and find out that the 12 really didn't have to eat his flesh. Because see, the rest of them was like, they must gonna put him on the barbecue or something. So think about how ticked off they are when they read this. Because this was the reason they left, you know. And he let them believe it. So that whole thought that Christ want everybody, that Yahweh want everybody. No, he don't. So you can go and talk to as many people as you want to. Only the people who Yahweh will allow to hear is going to hear. And it ain't about intelligence. Go ahead.
After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my body, in my blood, pardon me. This do you as oft as you drink it in remembrance of me.
Right, and we know what day that is. That's Passover. So all the people that say, oh, we love the Lord, they ain't kept not one Passover. Not one. Been going to church 40 years. Ain't kept one Passover. Talking about, oh, I love him. Oh, we love him to Reese's Pieces. Yes, we do. Oh, we just love him. Oh, you just say his name and I pass out. But you ain't kept not one Passover. Right. Go ahead.
For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Adonai's death till he come.
Right, and what they did was make up a time to keep it. Let's just do this on the beginning of every month. We do the first Sunday of the month, and we'll take communion. Who told y'all to do that? Where y'all get that from? Who told you that lie? We just imagined it ourselves, And matter of fact, we're going to change the bread. It's not going to be unleavened bread. It's going to be leavened bread. And we're not going to do wine. We're going to do grape juice. It's just as good. Right. So they got fake body and fake blood. And they did it on a fake day because it was a day that they just made up. Read.
Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Adonai unworthily shall be guilty of the blood, the body and the blood of the Adonai. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eats and drinks unworthily eats and drinks damnation to himself, not discerning the Adonai's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
If we would judge ourselves, if you judge yourself, you chastise yourself. Then you deal with those things, and then you take away the opportunity of anybody else being able to do it. Go ahead.
But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Adonai, that we should not be condemned with the world.
Right. So then we go through issues and we go through problems, not understanding. That is then the chastisement of Yahweh, which then gives us an opportunity to go through the wrong for the things that we have committed, thereby on when it's time for our death or to cross this part into this first resurrection, we ain't got nothing else left on our account that we got to pay for. Go ahead.
Wherefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, tarry one for another. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that you come not together unto condemnation. And the rest will I set in order when I come. So we don't just go to a feast because there's food going on. We understand what those things mean. Let's go to Yohanan chapter 13. Yohanan chapter 13, and we're going to start that at verse 18. Verse 18. I speak not of you all. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he that eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me.
So the bread that came from heaven is going to be betrayed while eating bread. Go ahead.
Now I tell you before it come, that when it is come to pass, you may believe that I am he. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receives whomsoever I send receives me, and he that receives me receives him that sent me. When Yahshua had thus said, he was troubled in spirit, and testified, and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked one on another, doubting of whom he spake. Now there was leaning on Yahshua's bosom one of his disciples whom Yahshua loved. Simeon Peter therefore beckoned to him, that he should ask who it should be of whom he spake. He then lying on Yahshua's breast says unto him, Adonai, who is it? Yahshua answered, He it is to whom I shall give a sop when I have dipped it. And when he had dipped the sop, he gave it to Yehudas Iscariot, the son of Simeon. And after the sop, Satan entered into him. Then said Yahshua unto him, That you do it quickly. Right. So now this demonic spirit is in him, leading him to go and do the things that he must do. This is why when everything was done, this is why he asked the question, is it I? Because he didn't know. But then once that demon was done, then he go hang himself. Because see, that's what the demon do. Once it uses your body to do all the evil that it needs to do, then it gonna leave you. It don't need to hang around with you no more. I done got you to do evil now. Ain't no need of me hanging around. I'm out of here. Yahweh about to deal with you. I'm gone. Go ahead. Now no man at the table knew for what intent he spake this unto him. For some of them thought, because Yehudas had the bag, that Yahshua had said unto him, Buy those things that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. He then, having received the sop, went immediately out, and it was night.
That was it right there. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12. So even after all of those things, you have to then consider the 70 of those, they followed no more because it was a very hard saying. This one stayed even through the hard saying, but was still there to betray. Matthew chapter 12, and let's read verses 43 through 50.
When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. Then he says, I'll return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he finds it empty, swept, and garnished.
When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man. So we get baptism, we get cleansed, we begin to go on the walk. That unclean spirit has been pushed out. Then we start entertaining familiar spirits. And then the unclean spirit come back by. Well, look, I didn't know you were going to hang out back here again when you got cleansed. Now the unclean spirit said, man, this house of yours look better than it did when I was there the first time. Now you look even more attractive to the unclean spirit. Go ahead.
And I guess you don't understand that cleansing when you took your dip and now your system, so it should be clean and stay clean.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 45. Then goes he and takes with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself.
So that one familiar spirit that you had is not your problem anymore. Now you got his little unclean, demonic, nasty friends who he has brought with him, and they all gonna come and stay with you. Go ahead.
And they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation.
Right. To be cleansed and then fall back is worse than to be in a situation where you were never cleansed. Go ahead.
While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, your mother and your brethren stand without, desiring to speak with you.
But listen what he said.
But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother, and who are my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciple and said, behold my mother and my brethren.
Right. He had already set forth that I have a family that is about who is going to walk in this word. So that natural family, first of all, that wasn't him who they was dealing with anyway. The spirit that entered into that body was different than that natural man. So they're trying to look at naturally your mama and your daddy. And he like, look here, y'all dealing with the flesh. My mother and my brother are the people who sharing this word with me. So if they don't sharing this word with me, they ain't really family anyway. Them cousins, he'll have some cornbread. Right?
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and sister and mother.
Right. So then he sets what his real family is. See, you have to understand in dealing with this, familiarity breeds contempt. So you got Moshe, who is the leader of the children of Israel, but then you got a brother and a sister there, Miriam and Aaron. Miriam then leads Aaron to kind of speak against him. We all holy. Right. See, they couldn't figure out that line between priest and this our brother at the same time. Yahweh did not care. What you say about my servant? All 3 of y'all come out. Come on, all 3 of y'all. Moshe ain't had nothing to do with none of it. He ain't had nothing to do with what they were saying. But you see, Yahweh and Yahshua got a totally different line when it comes down to loyalty than what man and flesh has. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 34. See, everybody can believe when it's all about singing and dancing and hugging and, oh, I love you, you love me, we love each other. Let's sing a song. When everything starts getting difficult, let's see how much love is there then.
877.
Yeah, that's what they call the fair weather friends. You got fair weather family too. Ezekiel chapter 34, and let's start that at verse 1.
And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy, and say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yah unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? You eat the fat, and you clothe you with the wool. You kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. The diseased have you not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick, neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away, neither have you sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled them.
And when you look at these things, it says you have not done all of these things. You know, the Sunday morning doctrine said whenever somebody do something against you, you forgive them. You start reading what thus says Yahweh, it says, if your brother sin against you, rebuke him. If he repent, forgive him. See, that's the part that's left out of the Sunday morning equation. The Sunday morning equation is supposed to allow you to just let somebody just constantly walk over you. Let them constantly do you wrong, and you just supposed to, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. That ain't what Yahshua said. So you find out Jesus got a different doctrine than Yahshua. Yahshua said, if they repent. Jesus just walking around loving everybody. That's a totally different doctrine. There's something wrong with that doctrine. Yahweh didn't ordain you to be nobody's doormat. Excuse me, brother, be still so I can wipe my feet on you. Excuse me? Who are you talking to? Go ahead.
And they were scattered, because there is no shepherd. And they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains, and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. As I live, said the Adonai Yah, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves, and fed not my flock.
But we like to have it so. We get excited when our pastors get a new plane. We get excited when the pastor get a new spaceship. And we brag to other people, did you see my pastor's spaceship outside? You got 26s on that thing. We love it. We love when they feed themselves and do not feed the flock. And see, this is how things get tricky with people. Because you see them getting all of these donations, and then they set up the feeding of the homeless and feeding the hungry. So it looks like they're doing all of these things. But they actually starving the people in the word. They're feeding people naturally, but starving the people spiritually. So they're not getting any bread inside, but they're tricking the people, passing out bread outside. The real food is right here. But people get tricked by that little sleight of hand. So they look, man, they got a bread, they got a food pantry, they got all of these things, they feeding the homeless. Yeah, how many of those people gonna get baptized unto salvation because you gave them bread? Them cornbread cousins. But you can't give them none of this real bread because there's certain things that you ain't gonna even read. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Therefore, O you shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus said the Adonai Yah, Behold, I am against the shepherds, and I'll require my flock at their hand, and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves any more, for I'll deliver my flock from their mouth, that they may not be meat for them.
Right, they're devouring the sheep, and the sheep don't even know they're being devoured. Go ahead.
For thus said the Adonai Yah, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I'll bring them out from the people, and gather them from the countries, and will bring them to their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country.
Right, redemption for the children of Israel is going back to the land of Israel. But see, the Sunday morning doctrine has you looking so that you don't look for redemption in a natural place. You just got to die. You got to die for their redemption. See, if you die, then you get to go to heaven. Yahweh says, no, I got a redemption for you that you get to live. The redemption for you does not mean you have to die. The redemption for you is to go back to the land that I have given unto you and your forefathers. Understand what the Sunday morning doctrine, that their redemption means you have to die. That's not what Yahweh offered you. Go ahead.
I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, says the Adonai Yah. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. And as for you, O my flock, thus said the Adonai Yah, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between the rams and the he-goats. Seemeth it a small thing unto you to have eaten up the good pasture? But you must tread down with your feet the residue of your pastures, and to have drunken of the deep waters, but you must foul the residue with your feet. As for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which you have fouled with your feet.
Right. They take one scripture and break it up into 8 pieces and give you one piece on one Sunday, another piece on another Sunday, another piece 3 Sundays from that, and then the last piece 4 Sundays after that. So even if you remembered it, you wouldn't be able to put it all together. Right. They step on it with their feet. This is the food that you're supposed to be fed. But you ain't went one Sunday and read a whole chapter of nothing. Been going down 40 years, ain't read one chapter. 2 hours on 2 Psalms. Psalms 12, verse 6 and 7. We've been talking 2 hours about verse 6 and 7. Are you serious right now? But when you used to getting that water that the goats pee in, you think that's good water. I can taste the essence of the goat in there. Until you get some of that Fiji. You get some of that Fiji, you like, you know what, no, brother, never mind. Don't bring me no more of that goat pee water. Do not give me no more of that goat pee water. Because I done had some of that Fiji. Hey, bro, that's real water there. See? But when you've been drinking goat pee water for 40 years, you think that's normal. Until somebody offers something else. Go ahead.
You know, I experienced that yesterday.
Goat pee water?
No. Not the goat pee water.
Well, damn, brother, how did it taste?
What people are used to. I've seen this guy a couple of times go straight into the bathroom under the faucet and drink the water. I seen him yesterday do it, but he walked past the fountain with the Zephyr Hills on top. Straight, I said, you know there is a water fountain out front with, oh, there is? Yeah, I guess I'm just so used to doing this. And the dude still went to the tap and then drank that and went back out and filled him a cup. Like, you walk right past the good water.
Wow. Hey, but hey, he told you he was accustomed to drinking that water. So what happened? When you go and you talk to one of these people and you offer them clean water, they're like, oh no, I got a full cup of goat pee water right here. Minerals included. Read, bro.
Verse 20. Verse 20. Therefore thus said the Adonai unto them, Behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle, because you have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the diseased with your horns, till you have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey. And I'll judge between cattle and cattle. And I'll set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant Dawid. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd.
Right. And if Dawid, as it is stated, he is dead and buried, and his sepulchre is with us unto this day. Dawid is paid for his sins. The sins he committed, he was punished for the rest of his life for those sins. So believe you me, when he is awakened, he ain't got nothing on his account. But see, people run from the present suffering, not understanding, hey man, you got to take care of some of that stuff that you got on your account because of some of that dirt you did that's in your rearview mirror. But we don't want to go through nothing. But the last thing you want to do is wake up with something on your account. If you wake up with something on your account, you got to go jump in that lake. Go ahead.
And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant Dawid a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken it.
Right. And you read in one place it said Dawid is going to be a king, and the next place you read Dawid is going to be a prince. He's going to have to be under Yahshua. Yahshua is the King of kings. He's the king of Dawid, the king. Go ahead.
And I'll make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land. And they shall dwell safely in the wilderness, and sleep in the woods. And I'll make them and the place round about my hill a blessing. And I'll cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing. And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase. And they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them.
Those that serve themselves of them. And when you look at the hardest jobs on the planet are the jobs that we have to do. They ain't always the highest paying job, but they the hardest working job. Find what a hard working job's at, and you're going to find one of us standing there. Go ahead.
And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them. But they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I'll raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen any more. Thus they shall know that I, Yahweh their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, says the Adonai Yah. And you, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I'm your Elohim, says the Adonai Yah.
All right, let's go to chapter 37. Chapter 37 in Ezekiel, and let's read verses 15 through 28.
Verse 15. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Moreover, you son of man, take you one stick, and write upon it for Yehudah, and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick, and write upon it for Yosef, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. And when the children of your people shall speak unto you, saying, Will you not show us what you mean by these? Say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yah, Behold, I will take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, and even with the stick of Yehudah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon you writeth shall be in your hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus said the Adonai Yah, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land.
Once again, the redemption for Israel is for Israel to be back in their land. So this whole heaven doctrine is somebody else's God that was fed to us. And we fight for other people's God. That was never given unto us. Even when we read in the New Testament, it says, I will raise them up at the last day. We never had that heaven doctrine. When they even asked about Lazarus, Yahshua said, your brother shall rise again. What did she say? I know my brother shall be raised again at the last day. None of them believed in that heaven doctrine. Where'd that come from? That came from Sunday morning. That didn't come out of this book. Go ahead.
And you know, when you think about it, even the dispute between the Sadducees and the Pharisees wasn't about that per se. It was about the Messiah. They had an issue with a Messiah.
Yep. Resurrection and certain things. One group believed in this, one group believed in that, but in no way did you find them arguing about whether or not they were going to heaven. That wasn't even part of their discussion. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And I'll make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all.
Right. David was the king to put the children together into one kingdom. So then it's only fitting that he is raised up when it is put back into one kingdom in righteousness. He had to work hard for that. He shed so much blood, it was why Yahweh said, you can't build my house. I'm honored that you would even want to build my house, but you shed so much blood, I can't let you build it. Go ahead.
Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I'll be their Elohim. And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them.
And you see, this is one of those things where it says David shall be king, and then he shall be prince. So he's going to have to be under Yahshua, because what Yahweh was doing with the whole thing was merging the priesthood with the kingship. That's what the people missed and what was happening. Having a priest, instead of coming out of the Levitical priesthood, he came out of the house of Yehuda through David, thereby being a king. Then he was a king and a priest, thereby fitting the setup of Melchizedek, who was priest and king. See, this is what the brothers don't get when they be talking about I'm a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Melchizedek was a king and a priest. He merged that for Yahshua. How can you ever be that? And Melchizedek ain't never gonna die. How you gonna claim that? Melchizedek had no father, no mother. How you gonna claim that? Go ahead, bro.
Verse 26. Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I'll place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore.
When my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. So it's not about them going to some far off land or them going to heaven. It's about the children of Israel being redeemed and going back to their own land, which then causes the rest of the earth to have peace. When Israel is in the place where they're supposed to be. Let's go to Hosea chapter 3.
9:23.
See, those who know what the deal is, they're truly waiting on Israel to be restored. Because they want to have peace. They know that this is their ultimate time to have peace on earth. So the true servants of the Gentiles, they're not fighting Israel to be restored. They want Israel to be restored because then they get to have peace as well. Hosea chapter 3, we're just going to read verses 1 through 5.
Then said Yahweh unto me, Go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress, according to the love of Yahweh toward the children of Israel.
According to the love of Yahweh toward the children of Israel. He says, go love a woman beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress. That would be you, Israel. So go love a woman who ain't been faithful to you. Why? Because that's what you did to me. Go ahead.
Who look to other gods and love flagons of wine.
Right. That's what you did. Go ahead.
So I bought her to me for 15 pieces of silver, and for an omer of barley, and an half omer of barley. And I said unto her, You shall abide for me many days. You shall not play the harlot, and you shall not be for another man. So will I also be for you.
All right. Don't cheat no more. Go ahead.
For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, and without a prince, and without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim.
Not forever. They shall have many days without these things, but not forever. Go ahead.
Afterward shall the children of Israel return, and seek Yahweh their Elohim, and Dawid their king, and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days.
All right, but let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Psalm chapter 3. Psalm chapter 3, and let's start there at verse 1.
Yahweh, how are they increased that trouble me? Many are they that rise up against me. Many there be which say of my soul, There is no help for him in Elohim. But you, O Yahweh, are a shield for me, my glory, and the lifter up of mine head. I cried unto Yahweh with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. I laid me down and slept. I awaked, for Yahweh sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Yahweh, save me, O my Elohim. For you have smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. You have broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongs unto Yahweh. Your blessing is upon your people. Hear me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness. You have enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O you sons of men, how long will you turn my glory into shame? How long will you love vanity and seek after leasing? But know that Yahweh hath set apart him that is godly for himself.
Yahweh have set apart him that is godly for himself. Go ahead.
Yahweh will hear when I call unto him. Stand in awe and sin not. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in Yahweh. There be many that say, Who will show us any good? Yahweh, lift you up the light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased.
Understand, a lot of times you read over and over, it's corn and wine. Now we understand all of the things that are being made with these two things. When you talk about corn, you can, make the flour. You also make corn liquor. Okay, there's a lot of things going on with corn now. All right, it causes joy and happiness. Go ahead, brother.
I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For you, Yahweh, only maketh me dwell in safety.
And hallelujah. That is all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.